Okay, welcome back. In the last episode, what we did was we fixed a lot of things. We made a crafting system so that we could craft a knife. So if you come here and you pick up 3 rocks, you're able to craft that knife. So 1, 2, and 3. Now, if you press P for pause menu or crafting menu, and you click that, now you see you have 0 rocks. Your weight went down to 0. Let's go ahead and look at see if we have the knife, and you can equip it with the number 1 and put it back on your hip. Okay, cool. So in this episode, we're going to do a couple more things to make this system a little bit and make it make more sense, because I noticed that the weight in this system is only measuring the weight of the rocks. Now your knife is going to have some weight to it, right? So we need to make that happen. But before we need to do that, we need to make a better way to figure out what the weight is. So let's go to our third-person character. And here, what we need to do is create a function. So we're going to create a function over here. So over here where it says functions, press plus sign. And we're going to call this current weight function. Okay. Now, for the current weight function, what we want to do is we want to get some inputs and outputs. So first thing we need is 2 inputs, because we have 2 items right now. One item is the rock, one item is the knife. So each of those are going to have weight to them. So let's add 2 inputs, and we're going to say rocks, and they can be integers. That's good. And the next one is going to be stone knives. Now, because stone knives is not an integer that exists down here, what we're going to do is we're going to add it. So add an integer stone knives and make it an integer. Okay, so perfect. Now we have it in both places. Now we need an output on this function. So click back on your function, press an output, and this is going to be an integer, and this is going to be the current weight. Or just, we'll call it just weight. Total weight. How about that? Total weight. Okay, perfect. All right, now for this function, drag the return node a little bit away. And for rocks, what we want to do is we want to see if the data table row exists. So get data table row right here. And it's going to ask us which data table. So we select the one that we made, item. And we only have one item in there, which is the rocks right now. So row found, plug it up there. But more importantly, for the out row, we need to break it. So break, and we're going to get this weight. So from down here, the rocks times however many rocks you have multiplied by the weight of the rocks is going to be your total weight. So we're going to need a plus sign. So let's do a plus. And for here, we'll do this. And the next one, we'll just add in the next one. So stone knives, we don't have that in the data table. So what we have to do is add it to the data table. So where are we at? Assets, pickups, data items, data table. Right here, we're going to press add. And this time, we don't have a name of it. So we can't even put it there first. So first thing first, we need to make a blueprint for the stone knife. Okay, so go to your third-person character real quick. And let's just check out what the size of that is. It's 0.16 and 0.16. All right. So go back to your stone knife, and we're going to, in that folder, the weapons folder, we're going to right click, and we're going to make a blueprint class called an actor. And we're going to call it stone. Now this is not a pickup, so it does not have to be a child of the master pickup, because it's not something that you want to pick up unless you want to pick it up. So like in my game, I don't necessarily need it to be a pickup, but you might want it to be a pickup, because if you drop it, you might want to pick it back up. But for me, I was thinking it's going to be like a standard weapon. But let me show you how to do that just in case. So go to your pickups. And remember we created this master pickup item? What you want to do is create a child blueprint class from that. And we'll call it stone knife. Knife. Underscore BP. Now what's going to happen is it's going to be the cube. We need to replace the mesh with the stone knife. So stone knife would be in the weapons folder here, and we'll replace it just like that. And for the widget, scale is, all right, so how about the mesh? We're going to change it down to 0.16. We know that's about right. And for the sphere, that's fine. But for the widget, let's scale it way back up to like 5. Okay. And for the name of this one, we're going to call it stone knife. So click on stone knife over here, and right here in the name, we'll call it stone knife. All right. Now we have a blueprint of it. Now we're going to come back to this, and once we do the dropping, which I don't think is going to be this episode, which will probably be next episode, we're going to learn how to pick this back up. But right now we just needed the blueprint of it. So let's go back to your data table. And in this item right here, we're going to add the stone knife. So remember how we got the name? This one says stone knife underscore BP underscore C. So that's exactly how it's written there. That's how we need to write it. So it was stone knife underscore BP underscore C. Perfect. All right, and for the name, stone knife. For the weight, I'm gonna say, I mean, it's 3 rocks, but they're chiseled down, right? So let's say 1.5, right? 1.5. We'll just call it 1 because right now we have an integer, and that's fine. 1 is fine for me. A basic knife made out of stone. Okay. And the actor, of course, we just made the actor. It's called the stone knife. The reason why we need to put the actor in again is because we're going to be dropping these weapons into the, whenever we don't want them, we're going to drop these items so that we don't have to be overweight. So perfect. So now the stone knife has a weight of 1. Perfect. All right. Now let's go back to our third person character. Let's go back to the current weight here. And what we're going to do is say, get data table row again. Do this again. So copy and paste. And this time we need to click on the stone knife. Now I'm pretty sure there's a better, faster, more efficient way to do all of this, but this is about to get big and messy. But it's okay. It's gonna work. I promise you that. So take the stone knife. We're gonna break it again. I don't even know if you have to break it each time. You probably could just break it once. But anyways, we're gonna get this weight here and do the same thing. So we're gonna get stone knives and multiply it times the weight of a stone knife. So however many stone knives we have, it's going to do that. And then we need to add that. And this is going to give us our total weight. Compile and save. Now back in the event graph, let's go back here. There's 2 changes I made. When we do the check weight, on the false, this is something I added right here. Just take the set max walk speed, which all you have to do is from the character movement, then type in set max walk speed, and plug in our default speed there, and then plug it back into overweight. And also from when we make the knife, when we make stone knife, remember we get the data table row, but this is what I added. So right after you take 3 from the rocks, we need to do a branch and check if they have the knife or not. If they don't have the knife, then we can continue on with the rest of the code. But if they do have the knife, we don't need to do the rest of the code. We'll put some alternate code there to deal with the weight. All right, so as long as you got those things added, we're good to move forward and we can keep on going. Okay. So the stone, now, in order to test this weight stuff out, because this is wrong right here, we've got to change this up. But let's test it out by doing like a quick thing. So let's say the letter L on the keyboard right here. Whenever we press it, we need to run that check weight function. So where was that at? So it's right over here, current weight function. And you see it has 2 inputs. So this is where we input our rocks and we input our stone knives. Right now, stone knives, we have 0, rocks, we have 0. And the total weight, we need to set the current weight as the total weight. Perfect. Now that should get us going. Let's try it out. Right now, if I press L, oh, we can't even see anything. Let's go ahead and put a print string there. So bring back up your character, and right after you press L and after the current rate, type print current weight, and then just tag those 2 together. It'll give you an automatic conversion, and that's fine. Now we can print the string. And what that means is it's going to tell us what it is. So in the top left, we can press L, and it says our weight is 0. But once we pick up a rock, E. Now our weight on the screen says 10. Let's confirm that, and the blue weight says 10. Exactly. So that's right, our weight is correct. But now let's make sure that when we do create a stone knife, that the weight calculates correctly. So make a stone knife, rocks. You take the rocks, and now you multiply that times that, because that's how many rocks that you have left. So instead of set current weight here, what we're going to do is right here and plug it up. So we'll current weight function. So grab that off over here. And now, when you make a knife, it's going to check. What's check weight? Check weight is current weight bigger than max weight, just to see if you're overweight. Bet. Okay. Sorry, let's go back down here to stone knife. So once you get this, you're going to plug in your rocks. And you don't even have to multiply it, honestly. So the number of rocks, you just have to type in the number of rocks, because the multiplication will happen inside of this function. So take the rocks here and do that. You don't have to have this multiplication here. And then, see, look, what it's going to do, remember, if we double click in here, it's going to take the rocks, it's going to get the weight and multiply it. How many rocks you have times the weight and multiply it. So back in the event graph, stone knives, what we need to do is, because if they have stone knife is false or is true, what we need to do is add a stone knife. So let's go to this. Stone knife, get stone knife plus 1, and then set stone knives. Set stone knives right there. Bop, 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 and bop. Okay, so now every time you make a knife, okay, it's going to take 3 rocks from you. It's going to give you 1 stone knife. It's going to say, do you already have a stone knife? If you don't, then it's going to set has stone knife to true. Let's try that again. If you don't have the stone knife, then it'll set the visibility to true on your hip, and then it'll do the current weight. If you do have the stone knife, it'll set that you do have the stone knife again, and then it'll skip on the visibility part because it should be already visible, and it'll just give you another stone knife. And then we need to plug in stone knives. So right here, stone knives, plug it into stone knives, check weight. This is where we need to set the current weight right here. So you got current weight, come over here, set current weight to that, total weight. And now the weight is perfect. Every time you make a stone knife, it'll do exactly what we need it to do. It's gonna minus 3 rocks, give you 1 stone knife, and adjust the weight accordingly. Now this is, we don't need this code here. This is just to test it out. So I'm gonna delete this in a second. But let's just test out everything and make sure it's all good. So right now, my weight should be 0. And when I press L, it's 0. And it's showing up on the top left too. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30. Now I'm overweight. I press L, and I got 30. Perfect. Okay, so now let's press P and make a stone knife. So my weight is 16 because I have 3 rocks, which is 5, 10, 15, plus 1 stone knife, which is 16. So we know that that worked right. Okay, now we have a stone knife on our hip. So what happens if, because we have 3 more rocks, what happens if we make another stone knife? So let's do it. Now our rocks are 0, but our weight is 2 because we have 2 stone knives. And this is going to come in handy because the more stone knives that we have, we could probably sell it. So before I end this episode, what I'm going to do is let's add one more thing to our data table so that we can start selling our stuff when it's time. But after this, we're going to learn how to swing our knife so we can get other resources. Because maybe your knife opens up like a chest, or maybe it opens up whatever. I don't know. You need to be able to swing it though. And that's how we're going to swing our weapon. So before we end, let's go to our assets, pickups, data table. And not really in our data table do we need to add anything, but it's in our struct. So here in the struct, let's add a new variable. And this time it's going to be called worth. We're not going to do anything with it right now. But again, once it's time to start selling this stuff, we will. So I'm going to call it an integer and press save. In my item data table, I'm going to press save. And I thought there was like a little refresh, but you don't have to. The worth showed up. So rocks, they're going to be worth 0. Stone knife, they're going to be worth $2. Okay. Now we'll be able to sell it. So that's all I wanted to do this episode. I guess since it all worked out perfectly, I will holla at y'all in the next one. Peace.
Run to the money, on the feet don't fail. The DA and the judge, on the do they best to jail. I done turned it all.